Hey y'all, this is Emma Sarah. So I hope y'all got a chance to watch my testimony on the event page. If you didn't get to watch it, that's okay. You guys can just hang in here and listen right now, and then you can always go back and listen to my full testimony later on after the event is done. So this is, let's see here. I'm going to look at my notes here. So what we're going to do is save questions until the end of the event. You can go ahead and have like a pen and pencil ready, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll through my notes and let you guys hear what I have to say and learn some new things hopefully, and then at the end of the event I'm going to go ahead and open it up for a Q&A. So let's go ahead and get started. So if you could, this is like an astonishing question. If you could add like 5 to 10 years of your life, would you do it? I mean, really, who wouldn't add 5 to 10 years of their life if they actually could, right? But what I'm going to talk to you today is a form of digestion, digestive eating, or eating for digestion, I should say, that could potentially add 5 to 10 years of your life, 5 to 10 years to your life. And so if you were told, and then let's see here, if you were told that 80 to 80% of your immune system was in your gut, would you believe it? And it's true. A lot of people don't even know that 70 to 80% of their immune system resides in their gut. And so gut health, can you give me something to drink, baby? So it is so important to take care of our digestive tract and our stomach and our just our gut in general, small intestine, large intestine. A lot of us don't even think about that. You know, we just eat all day. You know, we're hungry, we put something in our mouth, and you know, we don't even give it two thoughts except that we have a craving, or maybe we're just hungry. But when you start thinking about your digestion and your gut as being something that's really important to your body, when you start seeing the value in your gut, you're going to start looking at food differently. You're going to start looking at the way you eat food a lot differently. There's 1 million in the USA alone have Crohn's disease, and 500,000 have ulcerative colitis. That's 1 million alone in the US alone, I should say. 1 million in the US alone have Crohn's disease. Sorry, 1 million in the US have Crohn's disease. Okay, so 500,000 of those have the ulcerative colitis. And I know a lot of people, I have friends and family members with both of those terrible diseases, and it's so awful. I mean, I have a family member who can't even travel very far because she's always having to go potty, you know, and it's something that alters life. It's something that will stop you from doing the things that you love, and it's awful and it's painful, you know, at that. So, and countless others have had surgeries like gallbladder removal. I mean, I know countless people that have had that done. Hey, Yvette. Hey, Laura. Is it Laura on here yet? Okay. And I think Vanessa just got on here. Hey, good to have you guys here. So countless others have had their gallbladders removed, and you know, so we're talking about gallbladders, we're talking about colitis, and then there's the gluten intolerance. It's so widespread. I remember when I was diagnosed with gluten sensitivity, it was 14 years ago, I think it was. 13 or 14 years ago. I started getting sick, really sick 14 years ago, but I can't remember how long it took for me to get diagnosed with all my food sensitivities. But at that time, it wasn't really widely known about the gluten intolerance or celiac even for that matter. It took on average a person about 10 to 11 years to get a proper diagnosis for celiac. So all that time, people were getting improper diagnoses. Yes, it was impacting other things, and yes, some of them were getting ulcerative colitis and whatnot, but they weren't looking at the root of the cause, and the root of the cause for a lot of people was actually celiac disease. So if you are somebody who has GERD, the reflux disease, you know, that's where you have your food come back up in your mouth, that burning sensation. A lot of people have that problem, and it is that's also on the rise as well. And just as it is on the rise, so are the meds that are being given out for it, but I want to let you know that I went down the list of the medications that are used for GERD, and so many of those medications actually have aluminum in it. Hey, Vanessa. I see that now it says she's, I don't know if she was on before, but she's definitely on there now. Hey, Lauren, welcome. So a lot of people are not even aware, you guys take, or, we as a society take these medications to try to medicate a part of our body to make us feel better, and then we're not even realizing there's so many toxic things in the actual ingredients. And so, taking one thing for GERD, but then, hey, she's saying hi. But the toxic aluminum is, if you have aluminum toxicity, you can start losing your hair. You can start having short-term memory loss, long-term memory loss. Your skin will start getting really icky. You can get really long-term illness, but start having fatigue. So you don't want to take those medications. What you want to do is listen today. I'm going to give you tools to combat GERD. I'm going to give you tools to heal your gut. And all naturally, there's nothing crazy you have to do for this. This is not a get skinny fad. It's nothing like all those, you've heard like eat watermelon for a week to lose weight. This is not what this class is about. This class is strictly about teaching you guys tools for success to seriously live and be fit for life. So what do these health issues all have in common? So like I said, the colitis, the gluten sensitivity, and even the gallbladder being removed, there is a connection to all these diseases. And that connection is that they're all part of our digestive system, and that's part of our small intestine, large intestine, and our stomach, and even our glands. They're all connected, and they're all supposed to be working harmoniously together to help us be well on a daily basis. So it's just not what goes into our mouth that counts for good health, but it's how we assimilate food. And so that's what this class is really about. If you're taking notes, this class is about learning how to properly assimilate food. And a lot of people don't even consider food assimilation. We eat and we think that just putting something in our mouth is good enough to nourish our body, and that's not the case. I mean, you could really feed your body. You could have you could be eating meals every day. You could be eating 3 times a day. You could even be eating the right foods, but you could actually still starve yourself if your body was, hey Beatrice, you could actually still starve yourself if your body was not assimilating the nutrients. And there's actually a lot of digestive problems, but there's actual disease, and I can't remember what it's called, but it is an assimilation disease, and it's kind of like celiac. Celiac is a destruction of the lining of the stomach that comes from protein in wheat. So protein in wheat causes destruction in the lining of your stomach. It's like your stomach. I'm going to give you just a second here on what celiac is. Celiac, you have your stomach, and then in your stomach you have a border around your stomach, and on that border you have these little villi, and they're like a shag carpet, those 1970s shag carpets. So if you could just imagine this being the lining of your stomach, and these are all the shag carpets. Well, these little villi, when you eat the protein that is in wheat, or the gliadin that's in wheat, what happens is those little shag carpets slowly start to die off, just like this. And so this is your stomach lining, and what happens is now when that nutrients comes down into your stomach, instead of them grabbing up all the nutrients and sucking it in your system, what happens is that nutrients comes over and it just slides right over. It goes through your stomach, it goes through your gastrointestinal system, and then it goes out your exit system, but you never retain the nutrients that your body was created to need. So I have the girls over here. So this is our central over here. Hello. Say hi, girls. So I'm getting it fixed up here. So this is Live Central over here. So anyway, so going back to what we were talking about, some malabsorption symptoms, so you might say, well, how do I even know, Emma Sarah, if I'm having a problem with malabsorption? How would I even figure that out? Well, some of the symptoms of malabsorption of those nutrients that you need, hey Amanda, is your skin would become very dry. Hair loss is very, very common for people who are having problems assimilating nutrients. Anemia is when you have when you have a lack of iron in your body, when you're not getting enough iron assimilated into your body, you can develop anemia. And I've had anemia in the past because of all my food intolerances and during pregnancies, and it's awful when you have anemia. Your skin is pale, you feel tired, you don't feel well. Hi, Mama. She said it's not working for her, so maybe you guys can talk to Mima on there. So those are some of just the very baseline things to look for if you think you might be having problems with malabsorption. Now, gluten and gliadin are allergies that can cause the malabsorption, like I said. So not everybody who has a gluten intolerance has celiac, but everybody who has celiac does have a gluten intolerance, okay? And that gluten and the gliadin issues, both of them, having a gluten intolerance and having celiac, both of those problems, or both of those situations could cause you to have malabsorption in your body. So about 30 million adults and Americans and 70% of the African Americans and the Mediterranean populations have a degree of lactose intolerance. And so lactose intolerance, that is basically the inability to digest the lactase that is in milk. And so I have so many stories, like I have a million in my head I want to tell you guys, but anyway, there are so many people who have dairy allergies. One of the most common dairy allergy signs and signals that I've seen across the board in my last 14 years is people who have had skin eczema, who have had psoriasis. Those are the two most common signals, like the immediate things that I've seen for lactose or even dairy. So you can have a lactose intolerance to dairy, and you can have, so somebody's saying I'm getting a black screen with no sound. So can everybody else see me really quick? I'm going to wait just 1 second. So Mima is saying it's not working for her, and Allison is saying it's a black screen. So if it is not working for you, can you put a thumbs down? I don't know if you can do thumbs down.
Or say no.
Or say no. Just say, is it working for you? Just say no. And if it's working for you, hit like. Let me see like likes coming up or hearts or something. So Lauren, can you see me? Yes, you guys can see me. Okay, sorry about that. I just want to make sure I'm not talking to the air right now. So working fine. So it's got to be their computers then, because we still are working and it's live. So yes. So to the ones that it's not working for, you might want to get back out and then jump right back in, and that might help. So for the lactose intolerance, I see some of you guys are asking some questions. So somebody asked something, can you tell me about the itching ear one? So I can't see the comments while I'm talking right now, but okay, so dandruff and itchy ears. So like I said, I'm going to try to answer most of the questions afterward. I do realize you guys are going to have some questions right now, so I'll answer them as I go. She'll let me know what they are, and I'll try to answer them as we go. So yes, so on the lactose intolerance, so lactose is a milk sugar basically in milk, okay, or in dairy, and people have a lactose intolerance, so they can't digest that lactase in the milk. One of the things they can try to do, if you're like sold out on milk, you don't want to give up milk, you must take a lactose enzyme. If you're going to insist on drinking that milk, then at least do an enzyme, and that will actually help go into your stomach and break that lactase up. Now, other people don't have a problem with the lactose or the lactase. They have a problem with the casein in it, which is the milk protein, and that's a little bit harder to deal with. And so some of the common signs I've seen from people who have the protein issue and the it's really across the board, whether you're the protein or you're the milk sugar issue and the lactase. The main symptoms are eczema, psoriasis, ear infections, and sinus infections. So if you've been sick for a long time with sinus infections, or if your kids get a lot of ear infections, I would suspect the milk. I had a daughter who was always getting ear infections. She would have fevers up to 104 degrees. The doctors never told me anything about suspecting dairy. She just kept going, getting on antibiotics, kept getting sick back over and over again. And so I started doing my study. This is before I knew everything that I knew now, so I had to start looking into it. But I thought it could be the dairy. So anyway, long story short, I took her off, and she stopped getting the ear infection. So you really have to look out for those symptoms. So this is the part of the assimilation here is starches, and this is like a little bit of the science part of it, okay? So starches require an alkaline-based solution to break down, and proteins require an acid-based solution. So in chemistry, when you combine an alkaline with something that is very acid, my son, he was listening to me write my notes, like reading them out loud, and he heard me say, what happens when you put an alkaline base with an acid base? And he says, oh, Mama, they neutralize one another. And I said, that's right, so they neutralize one another. So this is what causes food to rot. And if they're starches, they're going to rot in your stomach. And if they're proteins, they're actually going to putrefy. Think about meat that's been sitting around, how awful that smells. Now, what I've noticed is type O's, for some reason, they tend to have a problem with the putrefaction of meat more often. They have a lot of acid in their stomach, and they have the ability to digest meat very well. But if they're not food combining, type O's really shouldn't be having a whole bunch of grains. And so when they're eating those grains with the meat, their digestion isn't working at the optimum level. They'll start to get bad breath, smell like old men or old women. That is an indicator that your body is asking you to do some food combining. So what happens is when you start eating that food, that meat in your stomach starts to putrefy, or that those carbs begin to ferment, then candida comes in, the parasites come in, and they just go in, and they're like, thank you, you guys put on a buffet for me, and they have a party. So that's another reason why you guys need to continue to listen, because digestion is so important. If you have candida, if you have any parasites, then your belly will either become a place where they don't want to hang out or a place they want to party in. So we used to make a joke when I had candida that, the fungi, like the fungi, mushroom things or whatever, but we used to call them the fungi. Like, we don't want to have too much sugar for the fungi because they'll come and they'll want to start partying. So many people feel helpless about their health or not being able to lose weight. Many of you, and I have a lot of friends on Facebook, I have a lot, over 1,500, I think, maybe 1,400, but many of you are considering gastric bypass surgery, and I know that you're here because you're looking for answers, and I'm glad that you're here. And many of you have already had this procedure, and I know many of my friends who have had this procedure who might be watching today, so this is also for you. So I'm sure you guys have considered it, or maybe have already done it, because you felt the frustration of not seeing progress that is needed because of either you've had failed attempts with dieting, because we all have failed attempts about eating right, or you've done everything that you possibly can and you just hadn't seen movement, and so you did it out of desperation, or you're looking to do it out of desperation. But I do want to encourage you to live by a saying that I live by, and that is, don't try harder, try smarter. And if we start to really think about, trying smarter rather than harder, we could bypass a lot of things that can cause us problems later in life. So for those of you who are considering the surgery, and those of you who already have, there's something you should be aware of that most doctors won't talk to you about or tell you about. And I kind of mentioned it in the beginning of class, but 70 to 80% of a person's immune system lies within their gut. And that is an astronomical number if you think about this being your whole body and your whole immune system being the majority in your gut. So Auntie Marie, hey, welcome. So I'm going to read really quick a study, and this is from the National Library of Medicine, and I'm just going to read it verbatim for how it was put out. So, and like I said, this is stuff the doctors don't tell you. So the gastrointestinal system plays a central role in your immune system's homeostasis, and homeostasis is just a word for saying that it keeps things in checks and in balance to keep things even keeled. So it's kind of like if you have an air conditioner, what's that? Not the thermometer, you guys, but the gauge. What are those things called on the air conditioner? Why can't I think of that? Thermostat. Okay, so anyway, it's a thermostat. Okay, so the gastrointestinal system plays a central role in your system's homeostasis. Okay, so this means that it's like a thermostat in your body. It helps to regulate, and it helps to basically keep your body in balance. It is the main route of contact with external environmental it is the main route of contact with external environment and is overloaded every day with external stimuli, sometimes dangerous as pathogens like bacteria. We talked about the fungi, viruses, and toxic substances. In other cases, it's very useful for creating flora, beneficial flora, which is another word for beneficial bacteria in your stomach. So the crucial position of the gastrointestinal system as testified by the huge, and this is the bold underline and everything, it's testified by the huge amount of immune cells that reside within it. So that's a medical study that was put out, and they're saying that our gut has the majority of our immune system in it. So if you're considering that, or if you've already had it, then you're going to need to listen to this next little section here. When the majority of your stomach has been removed, it's a big part of your immune system basically that has been removed with it. And so it's the main part of your body that is utilized to assimilate those nutrients. Remember, we're talking about that shag carpet. The celiac, my grandmother has celiac. She has all kinds of health issues, and yes, she does have thinning hair and everything else. But if you could just imagine that when a person has celiac disease, we talked about that shag border, we talked about all the villi dying, we talked about the nutrients going back over and her body not being able to assimilate those nutrients. Well, what happens when you chop part of that stomach off now and you only have a tiny little piece? Then that means that all those villi friends, they were all cut off, and you know, they're rid of it now. They're just not a part of the system anymore. So anyway, that's just food for thought for you so that you guys can think about that. So I'm going to keep on rolling here, baby. Just 1 second. So they're asking me to tell you guys to share with your friends right now. So you guys, how about you guys sit over there so I can see you? So it's hard for me to look sideways. So anyway, I just wanted to mention that because it is something that you need to be aware of, whether you've had it or whether you're considering having it. I wanted to speak to y'all today because you do need to look for it. So if you already had it, then what you need to do is make sure that you're listening to your body. If your hair starts falling out, that means you're missing something. If you start feeling overly tired, you're probably missing something. That means you're going to have to put a whole bunch more into your body to make sure that it stays into balance. People who have had gastric bypass tend to end up with osteoporosis a lot more often because their bodies are not assimilating the calcium the way they need to. So those are just some little side notes. Those are things to look out for, and those are things that you're going to have to really be careful about, making sure that you're taking care of your body and putting in what was lost. So that brings us to food combining. So if you guys, can you give me my food combining sheet, please? When you guys look or signed up, you have to excuse me. I'm actually so exhausted today. I had a few hours of sleep last night and not very many the other night. So my brain is a little bit fuzzy right now, but I'm glad to be here. I'm super excited to be here. There was a food combining chart when you guys came up on the site, and this is what it looks like right here. And this is a food combining chart, and I'm gonna let you see it up close here. So it's showing how the food combining program works.
Oh, yeah, I'm just pictures.
Okay, so that's what it is. If you had the chance to print it out, it'd be good for you to have it printed out so we could look at it while I'm doing the class. If not, you could open up a second window while I'm talking, and you could actually look at it and check it out while I'm speaking to you. So food combining is based upon eating for full assimilation and keeping your digestive system moving. So remember, if you eat meat that needs an acid base and then eat starches that need the alkaline base, when this is just a rerun, that will become neutralized, and that's like throwing a monkey wrench into your digestive system. Seriously, like when you put them together, I'm not saying that I will ever do this, but when I need to be healthy, when I need to not be tired, when the kids are sick, I really think about food combining. I really think about putting the proper balance into my system. So my family was so sick and had every sickness under the sun. If you looked at my testimony, we had food intolerances galore. There was like basically nothing that I couldn't eat. Like I remember I'm 2 months pregnant right now, and in one of my pregnancies I was in my second trimester, and I could only have meat and some vegetables, but meat made me so tired that I didn't even want to even eat meat because it was making me exhausted, and I only weighed 98 pounds. So when we started doing the food combining, we did it for a year. We heard about it, and the food combining is basically combining foods it's about combining food or eating foods that will digest well together. And so it's like when you eat dairy, or I'll say protein, when you have the proteins with the starch or whatever, it's going to take a lot longer to digest, and that's when problems can come in. But I'm going to talk about that in just a second here. So anyway, we did the program for, thank you, Emily. We did the program for a year. I wouldn't even say it's a program, it's an eating style. It's just something that we adopted. It's not like a diet. We didn't fall off the wagon. We don't have to stay on the wagon. It's just something we do and did because we wanted a really good result, and we got one. So anyway, I have a really good report for using it. Our family really flourished. We used to have headaches, hives, rashes, you name it. I mean, bone spurs, back things. There were so many different things with us. We all really did well on it, and I can say that with everything within me, that's why I'm teaching it to y'all today. So, because I really want you guys to be well. So the common saying for food combining is you can eat the same exact foods, okay? So you can eat the same exact foods and still lose weight. A lot of people think they have to change a whole bunch of things and do all these diet, fad things to lose weight. But you could actually, and I know a lot of people say, well, I'd like to lose weight, but I don't have enough money to put into a diet system or whatever. But you could actually eat, the things that are in your refrigerator. And if you do it like in food combining and mix your food properly, you can actually lose weight just by changing how you eat things together. And so I would add a minus, a few different things. I think a few changes would need to be made, but that's just a common saying. So basically the premise is if you follow the rules strictly, your digestion will be moving so fast that you'll drop weight and feel better. So if you're ready to jump in, here are 11 of my top food combining tips, okay? So number one is right here, and we're on the list, and this is the fruit list right here. So we see acid fruit, all this right here. So number one thing is eat fruit alone or leave it alone. And fruit are cleansers, and basically all other food groups are builders. And so the fruits are cleansers, so just think of that in the morning, okay? When you've been sleeping all night and you wake up in the morning, you're going to have breakfast. Well, what does breakfast mean? It means break fast, break fast. So when you're doing a real fast, a lot of people who do fast know that you don't end a fast and go get a burger. You have to ease into things. So in the morning, if you have that same kind of mentality that you want to ease into things, that you would start with fruit. You would start with 2 glasses of water, and you would put two drops of lemon essential oil in there. That's a really great detoxifier if you put the lemon essential oil in there. And then a little bit later, go ahead and have fruit, have orange or whatever it is. You can have your fruit for the morning, and then wait 30 minutes to an hour, and then you would have your breakfast. And that is so wonderful and cleansing and nourishing for your body. You get to, your skin will start to look better. You'll start to just really nourish your body, but that gives the opportunity for the fruit to immediately go into your system and into your stomach and assimilate very quickly, because there's nothing else that's stopping it in your stomach for that digestion period. So let's see here. The reason why you would want to eat fruits alone is because fruits are very efficient with their own enzymes, and so they can just break themselves down. They don't need much of anything else to get through your digestive system. So if you eat it by itself, it's very efficient. You'll eat your fruit, it'll go straight into your stomach, and you'll get all those nutrients. The second, and then I do want to mention that melons, it says you should eat them alone or leave them alone. And so this is something, people just don't even think about any of this. This is like probably new for a lot of people, but watermelon is even more, it digests even quicker than regular fruit, or the other food I should say. And so it's extremely efficient. So it says eat melon alone or leave it alone. And one of the things they say will happen is if you eat melon and you have a full stomach, that you'll end up getting rumbling and grumbling in your stomach, and it'll actually become painful. Thank you, Shirley. And so I was at a potluck. I was at a potluck this last Saturday, and we were going to have this big old wonderful meal, and I had just taught a food combining class, and I was going to eat my food, but there was this beautiful watermelon. I thought, oh, I should eat the watermelon first before I eat the food, so I, don't mess my food combining up. And anyway, so I did. I tried it. I ate my fruit first, but then I was like, well, I wonder, if I'm actually going to feel a difference now that I'm really thinking about it right now. And so I only waited like 10 minutes, and I had my food, and it had meat and stuff in it. And I'm not even kidding you. Like, it was about an hour later, I was sitting down talking to the gals, and all of a sudden my stomach I started having stomach pain, and it caught me off guard. So it's like, what's going on? I'm having gas pain or something. And then I realized it was I hadn't waited enough time between my watermelon and my food. So if you have blood sugar problems, I think it's like if your blood sugar is above 140, that means you need to decrease your fruit. And some of the fruits that are really excellent, whether you have candida or if you have diabetes to eat, are grapefruit, berries, and green apples. And so those are all, they're easily digested, but the best thing for those people is that they're low in natural sugars, so they're not going to leave as much of a problem in your system sugar-wise if you eat those. So let's see here. Next is proteins don't mix with starches. So proteins don't mix with starches. What does that mean? Proteins, let me see here. I'm going to go here. Proteins is everything in that window right here. That's proteins. And then starches is like the carbohydrates, all this right here, potatoes. You can see that, the beans. Okay, and then it's saying right here that this is a poor combination. So proteins don't mix with starches, and what that is basically the all-American meal, like hamburgers with buns, okay? Hamburgers, hot dogs with buns. It's basically like I said, all-American meal. Those things will create that monkey wrench in your gut, okay? And they will also hinder weight loss. So number 3 is don't mix proteins with starches. So what is that? Proteins with starches, let's see here. Oh, I wrote that down 2 times for you guys. It was late when I was writing my notes. So don't mix proteins with starches. Don't mix proteins with proteins, okay? So that's number 2. Don't mix proteins with proteins. So that would be eggs and bacon, or surf and turf, or like eggs and avocados. Don't mix proteins with proteins. The fats, first of all, digest not in your stomach, they digest in your intestine, and so that's going to cause a big backup and slowdown. So that's another thing that would hinder the digestion process. Number 3 is, let's see here, I wrote that 2 times here. Oh, another example of don't mix proteins with starches is meatballs and pasta and chili cheese fries. Okay, that's a mix that it's not going to sit well in your stomach. It will sit well, it just won't do well in your stomach. So next one is don't eat processed foods. Now, that's kind of like a no-brainer, I would hope, for people who are really trying to get well, but don't eat processed foods. They're devoid of nutrients, and your body doesn't know what to do with them. So they go in your stomach, and seriously, like, especially when there's foreign substances, when I say your body doesn't know what to do with them, your body wasn't created to have synthetic stuff in your, hey Eden, to have synthetic stuff going through your stomach. So I realized I did a sheet for you guys, and I was going to post it afterwards, but it was late. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning, and I did a double line here, so I'm going to have to fix the line, because I'm going to actually give you guys a sheet, so when you're done with the event, you'll be able to go and print up your list about food combining. So on the end of the event, just 1 second. Okay, 1 second. Okay, so sorry about that. So don't eat processed foods. Number 5, I have it here as number 5. Just write it down however I'm saying it here. Non-starchy vegetables combined with everything. And you have to love that, because vegetables are so good for your body. So vegetables combine well with meats, and they combine well with your starches. And so whatever, if it's a green non-starchy vegetable, broccoli with chicken, steak, and salad, those all are such a wonderful combination, and it gives just enough of that moisture to digest in your stomach, to digest your protein. It's not overly fluid. It's going to do a really good job in your stomach. So number 6 is avoid drinking with meals, and that's not a problem with me because I have a problem drinking at all most of the time. But I haven't had a bad, like, I thought it was a bad habit, but my whole life I would never drink while I ate my meals, and maybe that's part of my good digestion. My metabolism might be well or work well when I'm eating, because I have really always followed that. I don't really drink, and my kids will know that. Like, we'll be at a restaurant, I won't touch my drink, maybe a tiny little sip, and then you know, the whole meal is done, and then maybe at the very end while I'm walking out I remembered my cup. So the 7th one, hey Alyssa, is skip dessert. So avoid all sugar. Sugar, whether it's a monosaccharide, whether it's a monosaccharide or whether it's a disaccharide, those are just some terms that talk about the kind of sugar that it is. It is the simplest food to digest. The problem with sugar is that it decreases ptyalin in your mouth, and that ptyalin is what happens to start digesting your food before it even goes down into your stomach. And a lot of people, you know, we just don't think about that. We're not taught that anywhere in school, and the doctors don't talk to us about digestion. But when you hear about you know, well, actually, I'll get to number 8 right now. We'll just stick to sugar. So anyway, what you need to know is that sugar will decrease the enzymes in your mouth that actually help decrease, that help break down your food, basically. So yes, sugar has a whole bunch of other issues. It's linked to all kinds of other diseases like heart disease and diabetes, and a lot of people. So Amanda's saying, is it better to drink before your meal? Yes, Amanda, it is. It's better to drink before your meal, like a half hour actually. If you're gonna drink, if you're thirsty, like 30 minutes, like if you're cooking dinner, it's better to just drink your water 30 minutes before you eat than to drink it while you're eating your food. So, and then another thing that sugar causes or can cause in excess is, everybody knows about diabetes, but a lot of people don't know about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Now, people are really, they know about fatty liver disease for alcoholics, but they don't know that you can actually get it from consuming too much sugar. And so that's a big caution, because there's a lot of sugar addicts out there. And to be honest with you, I used to be a sugar addict myself, and so it just can be very harmful to your body. So number 8 is chew your food. Chew your food. Chewing your food will help the digestion process. If you're somebody who's like, you know, I have some people that we know that when they eat, like, you know, a hot dog or something, like, you know, it's like 2 bites and it's down into their stomach, and that is hard on the stomach. It takes a long time to digest that food. It's so much better if you start the digestion process within your mouth, and you really, I mean, if you know, some people say like 100, chew it 100 times or whatever, but really what you need to do is just concentrate on the food being in your mouth and not swallowing it until it's like a liquidy kind of consistency, and then you swallow it. And so chewing your food, and I've always been I can remember when I was a little girl, if my mom gave me steak, I'd fall asleep at the table because I'd be so tired because I took so long to chew my food. But once again, I've had a really good metabolism my whole life. I can gain weight, I really can. And when I met my husband, I weighed about 122 pounds. When I got pregnant just recently with my this last baby 2 months ago, I only weighed 102 pounds. So I can gain weight. But I really think that some of these principles that were not taught to me, that were just natural for me, not drinking with my meals, chewing my food very well, were things that really helped to keep me, my metabolism moving quickly. So number 9 is eat with a happy heart. So eating with a happy heart. What does that mean? That means when y'all sit down and you guys have dinner, you know, be concentrating on your family members and take time. We live in such a you know, a fast food type of environment these days, you know, or lifestyle, I should say, that we want everything quick, we want everything fast, we want to eat our food, we want to run, we want it. And I'm telling you, I totally understand. Okay, our family is so busy, we have so much to do all the time, but I mean, it's so easy for my husband or even myself to, you know, have our cell phones or our computer and want to just, hey, listen, you know, just continue working while we eat, because, man, I need sleep. I need sleep. For so many years, like, I have not, I would just burn the midnight oil and I would just, like, work. But I'm 43 years old now, and I am pregnant with my 12th baby, and I have decided this year that I do need sleep. but the sleep just doesn't seem to come from me because I have way too much to do. And so the temptation is always there to work through every single meal and just get things done so I can get to bed on time. But I try more than not to sit down with my family and to make sure that we're listening to one another. And that is not just for something for emotional and family building, but it actually really, it is, yes, family meals are best, Amanda says. It actually helps the process of digestion. Your stomach is relaxed, everything is going down. Instead of being tensed and, you know, your stomach being tense, a lot of people, when they're at the table, they start arguing or whatever. And then, you know, if you've ever been at the table and you've been eating a meal and you've had a harsh conversation with your family, most likely you're going to have like stomach pains afterward or a nervous stomach or something like that. So number 10 is stop eating before you go to bed. So stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed. So if I get hungry late at night, and I do, you know, because like I said, I'm burning the midnight oil, I do get hungry and I do want to get snacky or whatever. I have found that if I have a grapefruit right when I'm hungry or for that snack, it will take away my sweet cravings 100% of the time, and it will satiate my hunger, and it's just like a beautiful thing. Now, a lot of people do not like grapefruit. They think it's bitter and they think it's sour or whatever, and I was talking to somebody recently just this week about it, and they're saying like, yeah, grapefruit, you cut it in half and you throw your sugar on it, but that's the American way to eat it, but it's the wrong way. The right way to eat it so that it's not all bitter is to peel your grapefruit. After you peel it, you'll have that, you know, unpeeled grapefruit. Then you break it in half, just break it in half, and then piece by piece what I do is I just peel off the skin off of each piece, and then like it just pops open and all you have is the flesh. So you're not having any of the skin outside, you're not having any of the membrane, the internal membrane, and all you're having is the internal piece of the flesh. And the reason why grapefruit really works that way is because, oh, let me see here. It fell off my things here. So the reason that works so well is because grapefruit is actually really good to control your blood sugar level. So for people who are diabetics, it's actually a good fruit to help you not monitor, but to balance your blood sugar level. And so that's why it works for a good late night snack. You could also do something like carrot sticks. You know, it's kind of nong, you get to get that chew going on, but it's not too destructive there for you. And so let's see here. I think I had the I'm looking at my notes here, so I'll have to look at I do have a sheet that I'm going to be putting on here for you guys to look at for. It's all together because I know this is all new, and grapefruit burns fat. That's right, Alyssa, that's it does burn fat. You can actually put it in your water. You can start your morning off with lemon oil or water. You can, and I love grapefruit in my water, so water is so great for your body anyway, but when you start adding essential oils to it, it really cleans your, especially lemon or any of the citrus oils, especially grapefruit, it will help detoxify your liver. But you can actually put, there's a blend, and you can put, like, there's a petrochemical challenge, and you can put grapefruit, and you can put other oils, lemon, and you mix them with oil, and you can actually put them on your cellulite fatty places, and it helps to basically burn fat. So it is really a good thing. So grapefruit is excellent to eat it and have it as essential oil. So is there anybody have any question on that last one I just said right now? So we're going to continue on here. So an example of an order of digestion. So people would think like, well, how does that look like? If I'm going to be eating things, what would be the best way? And Amanda was actually asking that. So the best thing was to start, like you're going to start your day or your morning, you start with your water and your juices. So you wake up in the morning, you have your grapefruit and your water. You can actually even do grapefruit, like 10 drops in a gel capsule, and you can take that internally. When you're having hunger cravings, you could actually take just a combination of oils. There's oil by Young Living, and it's called Sleek Essential Oil, and it already has things pre-blended for you, and you can take that and put a drop under your tongue that will help with cravings. But so anyway, you can start that. Number 1, water and juices. Number 2, you would go to your fruits, smoothies, or soup. So if it's the morning, like I said, do your water, do your fruit. If it's lunch, then Auntie Maria says she loves lemon oil and water. I do, I love it. And I love it in Topo Chico too, the sparkling water is one of my favorite ways to have my citrus oils. So you would have your juices. It's kind of like, if you're going to go to a restaurant, you always start off with the salad, and you're seeing the order progress when you're sitting down. Think of it that way. You sit down, or you're making your food, you have your water, juices, then you start off with your fruits, wait 30 minutes, and then you have vegetables, and then you would add in your beans and grains. And think of it like plumbing, okay? Think of it like plumbing, and how is it going to go down the plumbing? Well, this is the order you want it to go down your plumbing, and you want the water and juices to go, and then the fruits, smoothies, and soups, and then you'll have the vegetables, and then you'll have the beans and grains, and then you do the meats and fish and poultry, because it takes the longest time to digest. It will go down. Now, one of the things I taught my last class is that when you take, yes, the grapefruit oil, Aunt Elisa, yes, you can put the grapefruit oil in capsules, like 10 drops in a capsule, and that really helps detoxify, and it is also good for fat deduction. I don't know if that's a proper word that I can say that. Is that okay to say that? I'm sorry? No, okay, sorry, no. Sorry about that, answering a question over there. So, the grapefruit oil, lemon oil, you can do citrus fresh in your oil, you can do lime in your water as well, or the combination is all really good. So what I was going to say really quick is that when you're, think about your like, we're talking about the pipes going down or whatever, think about sugar being like a Corvette, and this being your digestive system. This is like really not shaped like anything, just trying to give you an idea. So this is your pipe here, this is your intestine, and it's coming down into your stomach, and you have a Corvette. Corvette's going to come like, and it's going to be like flying down. It's going to go through all the system. It's going to go where it needs to go and go around the corners, and it's going to go right out the system. And that's what sugar is. Sugar is like a Corvette in your system. Well, think about meat being like a dump truck. Okay, a dump truck, what does it do? Okay, it's big, it's heavy, and it stops at multiple places because it needs to, pick up junk or whatever. Now think about you going, because we're talking about the order of digestion here, water, juices, then fruits and whatever. So think of the order of digestion. What happens is and that would even be sugar, would be first. So for those of you who have to have your dessert, it would be better to have your dessert first, because sugar travels so fast that it would be better. And when I was a sugar addict, I used to have diarrhea like all the time because it really got things moving, and I used to just live on sugary things. So I had really fast digestion, and I did have that issue going on. So if you have that dump truck go now, so now it's order of digestion, you're thinking about the plumbing, and that truck comes, the dump truck comes, and it just sat, bam, it's right there in your stomach, and here comes the Corvette. It's going to be like, it's going to just like crash in your stomach into that dump truck, and it's not going to be able to continue on and go out the exit. It's just going to sit in your stomach. What happens when it sits in your stomach? It starts to ferment. It just sits there, and when you have a problem, and many people have a problem with candida. Now, candida is something, a natural substance, or not bacteria, but it's a yeast, a natural yeast that's in your stomach or your intestines already. And most of the time, it's about she's talking about the fruit tree, so I answer your question in just 1 second. So with the digestion, it's the backup. So the candida. So the yeast. So candida is a yeast that's in your stomach. Now, if it's kept under check, it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to cause any problems. But the fact is that most people have a problem with candida. If you've been on antibiotics a ton or a lot, or even just a handful of times, it's enough to start a candida overgrowth. If you're addicted to sugar, you probably have a candida overgrowth. If you like Sedvesta and you like a lot of beer, there's a good chance that you have candida overgrowth. And so you just have to, consider some of these things and think about how your digestion rolls, because you really want to get things moving. So the order of digestion: waters, fruits, vegetables, beans, meats, and then you go from there. Now, Amanda was talking about, what about berries with oatmeal? Now, Amanda, for your son, if he's healthy and he feels really well, and you don't have any problems, you don't see anything that appears to look like he's having digestive issues or assimilation issues, he can eat that. It's not proper food combining, but he can do it. When people are sick, when people have stomach problems, they have belly pain. If your kids are having problems growing, like one of my kids, is a little bit shorter in size. If you have somebody whose hair is falling out. So if you have somebody who has clear signs of deficiencies or assimilations, then that's when it's important. Or if you have signs of candida, which is like fatigue, it's rashes, it's sinus infections. There's so many different things that candida can mask itself as. So if you think you have candida, then that's when you really, really want to follow the fruit rule. Then that's when the fruit rule becomes really important. If you're somebody who's healthy, vibrant, and you don't have any of those issues, then you can, fudge a little bit on the fruit thing, and you can have it with the oatmeal. So that's something that I would leave that up to you. So on digestive times, I want to mention that to you. Beans are one of the hardest starches to digest, and it's part starch, part protein, mostly made of starch, but it will be 2 to 3.5 hours to digest. So that means you would want to wait 2.5 to 3 hours before you ate the next meal. If you really want to lose weight, if you really want to feel well, if you really want to not be tired, that's what you would do. Now, grains are about 2 hours to digest, and gluten, which is gluten, a lot of people don't understand what gluten is. Gluten is in wheat, rye, barley, and some oats are contaminated with the gluten. So gluten basically is just a very sticky protein. That's why we, as bakers, love to have it in our baked goods, because it creates structure and it's really elastic and you can roll it and stretch it. That's all gluten in that. And plaster of Paris is actually, main ingredient is wheat, because the wheat starch, because it's so sticky. The problem is that when that same wheat gets down in your digestive system, it will cause that same gluey reaction. If you're eating it with meat, it's going to have that same problem and glue up. So gluten-free grains are easier to digest. Millet and buckwheat are the easiest. So if you're somebody who's having a lot of digestion problems and you need to be nice to your gut, I would suggest having millet and buckwheat, because they're the lightest and the least hard to digest. Starches, let's see here. Other starches, like vegetable starches, like sweet potatoes, regular potatoes, those are going to be considered a, let's see here, starchy vegetable. So I'm going to show you this here, right here. So proteins and extra fats, those go poorly together, because fats, like I said, digest in the intestine, and proteins are in the stomach, but together they're like a huge slowdown. Think of that dump truck together again. And then together, the fats and carbohydrates, those can go good together. So you can have like your olive oil and your pasta together. And then here, an excellent combination is proteins and non-starchy vegetables. So the non-starchy vegetables are broccoli, Brussels sprouts, leeks, lettuce, spinach, garlic. So any of those vegetables, those all go really, really well together. So, and then Aunt Lisa's asking about the fruit off the tree. Are you talking about grapefruit? The grapefruit is really good for you. I mean, I always, every week I have grapefruit in my house and make sure that when I have a sugar, like right now I'm pregnant, I'm having so many stinking cravings. I'm really not, like, it's difficult for me because so many of my other pregnancies, I was so skinny, I couldn't eat anything. I was so deprived. So this pregnancy, I don't want to feel deprived. I was deprived for 11 or 12 years. This is not about depriving your body. This is about listening to your body. So like I said, for a year straight, at least, maybe a year straight, we did this really closely. And then the second year, we did it loosely. And now I do it as needed. And right now I need it because I'm older and I'm pregnant and I'm getting tired really easy. And I've noticed that if I have, and this is for the preggers mamas out there, if I have protein, especially with the carbohydrate, which is that poor combination, that no, I get so stinking tired. I'm like almost useless, and I'll have to go take a 3 or 4 hour nap. So I've kind of got it down to a science now where I know what my body needs to run efficiently. So if you're somebody who's always tired, consider if you're a type A or if you're type O or a type B. If you're a type O, you're going to process meat way better than a type A does. And if you're a type A and you're getting tired a lot, I would start looking at taking out meat from your lunchtime and replacing it with another kind of protein, because it can really weigh your system down. It can really make you feel tired. If you are a type A having problems with digesting meat, then I would also look into taking hydrochloric acid. Hydrochloric acid will help you to break down that protein, and I can do more. I'm going to do another class next week. It's supplements and weight loss. So I'm going to talk more about that. It's actually a local class, but if you guys want me to do a class on that live, you'll have to let me know. So anyway, if you want to really look at your transit time, there's a little test you can do. You can go to the store and get activated charcoal, and you can take like 2 activated charcoal, which will be really good for your system. It'll actually pull any toxins that are currently in there. It's detoxifying. And take that charcoal pill, mark down when you swallow that baby, and then mark down when it comes out the other end, because it'll all be black. So you'll know that it's definitely made its exit, and you'll see how long food actually takes to go through your system. You're going to see how slow your metabolism is working or how fast it's working. So grains are 2 hours to digest, so you'll wait 2 hours before the next meal. Meat can take, it's about 4 hours if you're properly eating it. If you're eating it with food combining, it's going to take about 4 hours. But if you're eating like your all-American carbs with your meat, it's going to take like 7 to 8 hours to digest. If you have potty breath, like if your breath is always stinking, your gut is speaking to you, your liver is probably speaking to you. But I would start with your gut first and start doing an internal cleanse. And you can also take chlorophyll, liquid chlorophyll. Pour yourself water, put about a tablespoon of chlorophyll in your water every day and start drinking that. And it's really good for your hair. It's really good for just your immune system, but most importantly, it'll actually help detoxify your body and that putrefaction going on in your stomach. So vegetables take about 1 to 2 hours to exit the system, so you'll wait 1 to 2 hours before eating the next meal. So, but do remember, you can have vegetables with meat. You can have your broccoli, stir-fried broccoli, just broccoli and beef, and you can have like lemon pepper chicken, and your vegetables. You can have like cabbage and chicken stir fry with lime juice. So there's a whole bunch of combinations you really could do. And I am going to put a Pinterest board and start pinning things that are food combining so you guys can see that. And let's see here. I am going to be doing a feature next month. I plan to do a class on how to detect if your children have mineral deficiencies. And the neat thing about it is if you know how to detect whether your children have mineral deficiencies, is that you'll be able to see and check to see if you have mineral deficiencies. So I'm coming up on the wrapping here. Do you have that next video ready to go?
It should be.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get off, because I want it to be a separate video, and I'm going to get right back on, and I'm going to do a question and answer for you guys, because some people have some questions, and I'm going to look at the questions, and I'll be right back with you. All right, so give me just 2 seconds, and I'm coming right back on.